My name is Brandon Hall. I'm the Executive Director of Scouting for Prep Baseball Report here in North Carolina. We're getting ready and very, very excited about the Scout Day tomorrow with C35 at JP Riddle Stadium. Typically at these Scout Days, we would bring guys together, talk for 15, 20 minutes prior to the event about what we're getting ready to go through, walk them through every stage of the event, and then sit and talk a little bit about recruiting. With the COVID pandemic and all of that going on, we're trying to increase our space, increase our distance. So eliminating that meeting and eliminating that gathering of players is basically what this video is. And so sharing this with the players, the families, the staff at C35, just to give you, again, a real breakdown of what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen after the event, and then also talk to you a little bit about where we're at recruiting. I am going to apologize. Typically, this video would have been done in the morning. I've got a 5-month-old and I've got a 3-year-old, and my parents just bought a new house and are moving this week. So we have been extremely busy, and we had some deals that we were dealing with the 5-year-old or 5-month-old this morning, just normal baby stuff. But it's now noon when I'm shooting this, and I'm about 4 hours behind already. So parents, I'm hoping you can appreciate that a little bit. And again, I apologize, hat and not shaven yet and wearing a t-shirt, but it's been one of those days. Tomorrow, PBR will be on site at JP Riddle. The players, we're going to start checking you guys in at about 4:30. At about 5 o'clock, we're going to take you through a player stretch. And again, typically that player stretch, we would get you guys together, we'd circle up, have you in lines. But again, social distancing, we're going to ask that you guys stretch on your own throughout the entirety of the outfield and give yourselves plenty of room. Once we've gotten through the stretch, we are then going to run into our 60s. And the 60s are going to be laser time. We're going to run in the outfield. We want you in a position where you feel fast, where you feel like you're going to run. So we're not going to rush through those. We're going to try and break those down, make sure you guys understand how you can put up good numbers on that laser. But the biggest thing is going to be the laser is going to record about your hips when you cross the finish line. So reaching for your last step, leaning with your head, it's not going to trip the wire, so to speak. That laser is going to be about your hips. So what we encourage you to do is run about 63 yards. Just stay full speed and accelerate for 2 to 3 more steps after you've tripped that wire. And gives you a chance to really post your best time. Once we get through the lasers, we will put you into offensive groups, probably going to go 4 groups. We'll have a live BP group hitting on the field. We will have TrackMan set up, capturing ball flight off the bat. We'll have a group that's on deck, just sitting and waiting and kind of getting used to the rhythms of the BP thrower. We'll have a group that's an exit velocity, which is going to be a static exit velocity off of a tee down in the cages. And that group will also be able to get some extra swings. There's a couple cages down there at JP Riddle. And then we're going to have a shag group, obviously helping us facilitate BP and kind of keep things moving. When we go live BP, it's going to be 2 rounds, 1 of 6, 1 of 8. The second round, we're going to video. And what we're looking for and what college coaches are looking for, what pro scouts are looking for, I know there's a lot of different things being taught hitting-wise now. Trying to get launch angle or create loft or lift baseballs. We've heard guys that stay flat through the zone. We want backspin to the backside. Stay on your front side, get on your backside. Whatever it is you're being taught, it's fine. What coaches want to see are 2 things. 1, do you know where the barrel is? In a BP setting, maybe the first 2 pitches you're really trying to get timed up, but after that, can we be on the barrel out of those 14 pitches, 14 live swings? Can we be on the barrel 10 to 12 times? And then 2, is there bat speed? So can we be on the barrel and can we generate bat speed? Along with TrackMan, we're going to have blast sensors as well that we'll put on the knobs of the bat. That's going to track your swing and your swing analytics up to the point of contact. So we're going to get bat speed. We're going to get contact angle. We're going to get some pre-swing analytics, hand speed, hand path, things of that sort as well off the blast. And so again, your job in those 2 rounds of BP is find the barrel and be quick with the bat. When we finish BP, we're going to run into our defensive evaluations, and we had guys sign up. I think as infielders, outfielders, catchers. Some guys maybe signed up as multiple position guys. We're going to put you in a position where really you're just showcasing, your athleticism, your ability to exchange, your arm action, your accuracy, and your carry. And so for our outfielders, you know, the radar gun's going to be on you, and that radar gun does give some feedback really in terms of what the ball is doing out of your hand. But we also are measuring accuracy. We're measuring your ability to get to the baseball. We're measuring, you know, we're taking account of your ability to exchange the baseball and be clean with it. For our catchers, you know, obviously pop times, but we're also going to have a radar gun on you because we can gather information on three different areas. One, your pop time, glove to glove, time it hits your glove to the time it gets to the second baseman. We can also put a watch on release time, time it hits your glove to the time the ball gets out of your hand. And then we can also measure arm strength on those throws. So, and again, we're looking for accurate throws. It's pop times really, for me, I was a Division I recruiting coordinator for 20 years. I didn't write pop times down in these types of events unless the guy was accurate and on the bag. Because, you know, you've got second baseman, shortstop that on a short hot ball will come running up and catch it, but he's still got to then run back 2 steps and try and slap a tag on. You know, really the pop time on that ball, even though the watch says 2.15, because the pop to tag may be over 3 seconds. And so we're looking for accuracy, we're looking for carry, we're looking for quickness, we're looking for clean exchanges and arm action, we're looking for a good spin on the baseball of the hand. And we'll try to walk our catchers through that so you guys get a chance to showcase in the best possible way. For our infielders, you're going to either work out at shortstop or first base. And when you're working out, you know, we are going to have a radar gun on you. It's probably the one area where the radar gun gives us the least amount of feedback. What we're really looking for is, do your hands work? Do your feet work? Is there rhythm between your hands and feet? Is your exchange clean? Do you funnel the midsection? What's your arm action like? Can you manipulate your arm action if you need to on different types of plays? Are you accurate, and does the ball have carry? We've seen guys that are 77 to 80 across the infield that have really, really good carry. We've seen guys that are 90 across the infield that can't play short because they have to take a running start and a crow hop to throw 90. When these are going out, you're going to have the videos put out. The radar reading's there, but you're really going to be able to tell if the arm action's clean, if the ball has a chance to carry. We want our infielders to play these game-like. If a ball is hit at you or to your left and you have a chance to put a little mustard on it, so to speak, yeah, let it eat, let it have at it. The backhand is not the ball where you're going to show best arm strength. It's actually the ball at you and to your left where the radar gun is going to read. The backhand's got a chance to show best carry. So what we're looking for is carry and accuracy on all of them. If you get one where you get a chance and you're on rhythm and you can let it eat a little bit, have at it. Pull the driver out and see what you can do. But really, for the purpose of the videos and the purpose of what college coaches and pro scouts are looking for, be rhythmic, be on time, be accurate. Once the position players finish with what they're doing in terms of defense, you are good to go from a PBR standpoint. C35 may have a little bit more for you to do in terms of work. That's on them. That's not something we would deal with. But from our standpoint, you would be good to go. What we'll roll into afterwards, our catchers will stay because we need to evaluate our catchers in the bullpen and receiving, and our dual pitchers will start throwing. And the way it's going to work is we're going to have a 3-man rotation on the pitchers. We're going to have one guy going live, one guy on the first base line that's next, one guy in the bullpen. We're going to rotate about every 3 minutes. So you're going to throw a 6-minute pin with a 3-minute break. When you get on the mound, we're going to have you go out of the windup. We're going to have you throw your best 3 pitches, 2 of each, 2 fastballs, 2 breaking balls, 2 change, if that's your best 3 pitches. So 2-2-2. Then you're going to go out of the stretch, 1-1-1. And then you're going to go back to whatever you want to do for about 3 to 5 based on the watch. And so if we're able to kind of keep this thing rolling and have some pace to it, and you're throwing strikes, which allows us to work at a faster pace, then you'll get a few more pitches out of it. And the reason we do the sequencing is we want the track man's going to be running. We want to capture ball flight. We want to see all of your pitches. And so we dictate that early, and as we go later in the bullpen, kind of let you do what's going to be a little bit more natural. Track man's going to track release, spin, movement, velocity, ball or strike, along with a bunch of other analytics. And for our hitters and for our pitchers, TrackMan is going to be available to you. You're going to get an email from them after the event. You can click on the email, log in, and then once the event's been uploaded, which will probably be Friday morning, you'll be able to see a 1-page PDF on your numbers. And then if you go to TrackMan Baseball on Twitter, at TrackMan, I think it's at TrackMan BSB, last week they ran a series of slides that give you an idea of what is average and what is exceptional for high school players, college players, and pro players in terms of the TrackMan numbers. And so you'll be able to see those. And then we'll be available as well. So if there's questions in terms of things that you don't understand, you can always hit us up with an email. After the dual bullpens will be our pitcher onlys. Our pitcher onlys will check in at about 7. That gives them about an hour to kind of get rolling, get ready before their bullpen, and then roll into it. So ideally keep those guys on a normal schedule. After the event, excuse me, after the event, we will roll stats and some other stories starting that next week. So on Friday, you're going to get an email from us that says, hey, thanks for coming. It was a good event. Here's how to see your information. We'll have all that loaded hopefully by Friday afternoon. You'll go into your profile and make sure the stats look right. If you're typically a 7 flat runner and we have you as an 8 flat, call us, text us, email us. It's very easy for us to just make a little slip of a number entering all this stuff. So just let us know. If something doesn't look right, you're not bothering us. We want these numbers to be right. We have multiple ways of checking and double checking and triple checking these numbers so we can make sure that we got these things right on the website. Once all that stuff's up, we're fairly sure it's accurate, and then we'll start running the stories next week. We'll have a stat story. We'll have a couple quick hitter stories. And then we'll have an analytics story. All of that will hopefully run that next week. All of that will populate into your profile under the news tab as well. So you'll have access to that along with being just in the news section on PBR. Once that's done, we will send the videos to our editor. So probably Friday, Saturday, I'll get all those uploaded. Once they're uploaded to our editors, it's usually about 10 to 14 business days for them to cut all that up and to load it onto your PBR profile. Once that's loaded onto your PBR profile, you'll get another email from me saying, here's your videos. They're uploaded, and here's how to see them. You do have to have a subscription to PBR to see your video. The video will be housed on your PBR profile, but we are going to give you a subscription for 1 penny for the first month. After that, it's $10 a month. So once you see that first month, you'll have access to everything. See what you need to see. You can always unsubscribe. Of course, we're hoping we provide enough content, enough things behind the curtain that we want you to stay involved, because we will be updating rankings, positional rankings, uncommitted rankings, top prospect lists, and things like that here, really starting even this week. So all of that's coming down the chute and down the pike. And again, once the videos are cut up and posted, we'll be in touch with you on that. So that gives you a gist of what's going on over the course of the workout plus the next couple days. My background, and Matt Payne, who's our director of scouting, our background, we both played high school baseball in North Carolina. We both played college baseball at Division I level in North Carolina. Played at Wilmington. He played at NC State. I actually got hurt in college and immediately went into coaching. I coached at Wilmington and I coached at UNC Charlotte for almost 20 years. Matt had a chance to play professional baseball and then came back and started his coaching journey at the junior college level before becoming the recruiting coordinator at App State. And so we've got background in the state. We've got background recruiting at a couple different levels. We've got background recruiting in the state of North Carolina. I apologize. I got a little frog in my throat. The upcoming year for the 2021s and even the 2022s is going to be an interesting case study for years to come in terms of how recruiting adjusts and adapts. Typically in North Carolina, there are 500 players in a senior class that commit to play college baseball somewhere. My bet, based on where the numbers are now, where I think they're going to get to, the 2021 class is probably going to see about 350. So I think it's going to be a drastic reduction in terms of the number of players that commit, just from a standpoint that at the college level, they don't have a roster limit for this year. Plus the 19 and 20 class have kind of become this super freshman group. And there's just, the next year they've got to be back at their roster limits. So there's some limited space there. It doesn't mean they're not recruiting. It doesn't mean they're not looking for good players, because if they find a player that fits their roster that is significantly better than what they've already got, they're going to recruit that guy. and that's why there's guys already being recruited. But I think players need to be open to the options of looking and broadening their search in that class, just because there may be some limited aspects in terms of what people can do, offering spots and offering scholarship money. A couple of things, and again, we're trying to be somewhat light on the video, but and as you get your subscription to PBR, we actually have a section in PBR called Recruiting Essentials that I actually wrote for about 3 years that covers a lot of these topics. And we're going to dive back into, I think, this fall and open some of that stuff back up with everything that's going on. But the numbers at the Division I level, and we'll dive into Division II level a little bit too, that you need to be aware of. 11.7. That's the number of scholarships available. The NCAA says, hey, 11.7 what baseball scholarships are allowed to be given per team. So 11.7, typically, now this year's different, but typically 35 men on the roster, and 27 of those 35 are allowed to receive aid. So if you take 11.7 scholarships and divide them up among 27 players, the average scholarship at the Division I level is 43%. So an average player that's being recruited, an average player that's got a chance to play at the Division I level is going to be offered 43%. Now, there's some different ways to manipulate that money, and there's different ways to even manipulate the way I make those offers. So at Charlotte, we never had 27 guys on aid. We were always at 23, 24, and that allowed us to pay a little bit more high-end dollar to the guys we were bringing in, and we just brought in 10 walk-ons. Now, those 8 to 10 guys that we had, the 8 guys from 28 to 35, are technically considered walk-ons, but obviously they're an integral part of what's going on in the program. And to give you an idea on that, we had 11 all-conference players, 2 All-Americans, and 6 pro draft picks that came to Charlotte as one of those 8 walk-ons. And so they are valued spots. Several of those guys started as freshmen. We were just in a position where we did not have money to offer to an incoming freshman because we had spent our budget already. We were at 11.7, or we were at our dollar line in our line item in our budget. It doesn't make those places any more significant or less significant. Those guys, contributed to the team. Obviously, had really, really good careers, and were valued members from day one. And so, we encourage players to find out, okay, how many guys are going to be on the roster? How many guys are on aid when I get there? What's your average scholarship offer? For the incoming class last year. Get an idea of where these guys are at, and it'll give you an idea of what colleges are doing with their rosters. One thing you've seen colleges do is you'll see colleges guarantee scholarship money for 3 years and then say, hey, you're going to be a draft. I can't hold the money for 4th year because you're not going to be here anyway. And so now they're recycling money every 3 years. So they got 11.7 tied up over 3 classes instead of 4, and the idea is hopefully able to bump up that average percentage from 43% maybe to 50, 55%. So there's some different things we can do as coaches with that money to make it more lucrative. The other thing we can do is we can skew what the percentage is. And so what most people don't, most people do realize, they don't get into the fine works of it in the recruiting process, is how the scholarship comes about. So we're talking about tuition, fees, books, room, and board. And those are basically, the areas that are going to make up the complete allotment of what a scholarship can cover. Well, as a coach, I can do something where I say, hey, I'm offering you 80% of tuition. You're getting an 80% offer. Well, 80% of tuition is not an 80% offer. 80% of tuition is 80% of whatever tuition is. Now, that still may be 65%. It may be 55%. Still a good offer, but it's not 80%. I was in it for right at 20 years. I offered 1 full scholarship. And we had, I think in the 20 years, they got 11 nationally ranked recruiting classes. And we made 1 full offer, and he didn't come. It's just very hard if you have a player tied up on that much money, because really you're talking about a player that's taking up more than 2 times the average scholarship level. So with parents and families, what we ask you to do, and one of the ways you can kind of combat this, is understand, 1, what is the percentage of? And it's okay to ask that question. Is this percentage? They offered you 40%. What is that a percentage of? What are we talking about in terms of, Is it just tuition? Is it tuition, room and board, tuition, room, board, and fees, tuition, books, room, board, and fees? It's the whole kit and caboodle. What is 40% of? And they should be able to walk you through that. The second part, and it's harder for younger players because we don't know what school's going to cost. But as you get closer and closer to being a graduate in high school, they have a pretty good idea of what tuition and fees are going to be for the next year. We need to find out what the dollar number is. So if school costs $20,000, and they're offering you 50%, they should be offering you $10,000. So I think it's a perfectly fair question to say, great, 50% of tuition, room, book, fees, board, everything, that's great. What's the dollar amount? And they should be able to write that out and put a dollar amount on that scholarship, and give you an idea. There are two things is especially in-state schools have to kind of abide by. One is the 11.7 with the NCAA. The second part is the line item number. So for us, when I was at Charlotte, and they've changed since I've left, but when I was at Charlotte, if we recruited all out of state, we only had about 8.5 scholarships. If we recruited all in state, we had a significant amount of money left in our budget that was designated for recruiting and for scholarship allotment. So we had a balance there to maximize 11.7 and to maximize our budget. We needed to be, 60% in state at least. Again, I apologize. Something stuck when I was getting ready to start this, and it's just stayed there. But those two numbers kind of matter to what's going on with college coaches. So it's what is the percentage, and then what is the dollar amount. The other part we encourage players and families to kind of get used to is what's going to happen with text and phone calls and visits. College coaches, typical year, are going to do 1 to 3 to 20 visits a week. There's unlimited in terms of the amount of number of unofficial visits, meaning that the school is not paying for any part of the visit. There's an unlimited number of those visits schools can do, and we do a lot, and we get very good at them. For players, you may do 3, you may do 5, you may do 10, and they may all be different. So by the time you really get comfortable with them, you're probably done. Official visits would be if the school pays for any part of the visit, whether it's a flight, a hotel, a meal, any part, all of it, whatever. That's an official visit. And again, the school's allowed to do 25 of those a year. The player's allowed to do 5 across his junior and senior year combined together. So the school is going to be much more comfortable in those settings with how those work. And so the relation that I make with that is an interview. You think about a college graduate starting the interview process. By the time they get used to kind of going on interviews and what the interviews are going to be like and how different companies they do interviews, the questions that are appropriate to ask and things of that sort, they may be done. And they may have picked a job. And so how, as an athlete going through the recruiting process, can we get used to that? Set up staged processes with coaches, with family members, and sit and talk and ask questions and have questions thrown at you, and simulate what may happen, what may not happen. Have a plan. When you're going to go on a visit, hey, ask them, Coach, where all are we going to go on this visit? What all am I going to see? Do a little bit of research on the people you're going to meet. Phone calls, and this is a big one for the generation we're in now, because you guys don't talk on the phone. Most of you guys text girlfriends and text coaches and use the WhatsApp app and that type of stuff. So learning to talk on the phone is hard. As mine goes off, I apologize. The thing we encourage you to do is get on the phone. Call an aunt, call an uncle, call a grandparent, call a brother or sister that's away at school, call one of your best friends. Don't tell them why you're calling. Keep them on the phone for 5 minutes. Hey, man, what's going on? How you doing? They will be so freaked out when you do it. It's going to be a hard conversation, for one of your friends. An aunt or uncle maybe, love to hear from you. But keep them on the phone for 5 minutes. Get used to being on the phone. I can remember my first ever phone call. Jim Peoples at Methodist was their recruiting coordinator way back when. And Coach Peoples is a great dude. He called me every Monday at 8:33. I knew that was the call we were getting, and I knew when it was coming, and he was dead on every single week. Well, the first time he called, my mom and dad could hear me talking on the phone to him, and it was like listening to somebody scratching the fingernails across a chalkboard, because I wasn't very good on the phone. But we did do some work, we practiced, and I got a chance to be on the phone with him throughout that recruiting process, and he actually made me really good on the phone, so that as other schools started contacting me, I was a lot better with them than I was with him. And so the more you do it, the more you're going to be better at it. Text. The thing we tell guys with text is mimic the guy you're texting. So if the coach sends you a text and it's very punctuated, it's very proper, just mimic that back. If a coach sends you a text and it's got emojis all over the place, feel free to use emojis back at him. If a coach sends you a text in all lowercase, well, feel free to send them a text back. What you'll typically find is most of them are going to be a little bit more formal than what you would do with your friends, because they do work for universities, but most of them are trying to be lighthearted on text. So they're going to let some things go here and there, but just mimic the guy that you're talking to. And as best you can, and still being who you are. You don't have to change who you are, but mimic their style, so to speak. So a lot of different directions we could go in this and talk about recruiting and some different things that may come up. Obviously, you've got great resources with the guys at C35. You've got high school coaches, and now you've got us. So if there's things that pop up between Matt and myself, I promise you we've seen it, we've heard about it, we've probably done it. Feel free to run us down. We don't have a dog in the hunt right now. We kind of stay out of the fray, and this is what we do, but we do have some expertise just from past personal history. So if there's things that pop up and you have questions about, feel free to shoot us an email, and we'll definitely get back to you as soon as possible. We're looking forward to a great day with C35 tomorrow at JP Riddle. If anything pops up, make sure you're checking email and Twitter at PrepBaseballNC. Otherwise, we will see you tomorrow. Thanks, guys.